out. My name is David, and this is Sean. We work in operations here. Sean is our ranch manager, and he actually gets to feed the cows and see them every day. They're not used to seeing a whole bunch of people, so forgive us if they are a little bit shy. Actually, some of them are still pretty close, but usually they're only looking at Sean, so it's kind of a different day for them. But we did want to start here. This is kind of the kitchen for the cows. One thing that's super interesting about cows is their stomachs. They actually have one stomach with 4 chambers in it, and the feed ruminates from chamber to chamber, meaning like they'll sit down and chew their cud, and they'll digest over time if they're in a nice relaxed environment, right? And so what's fun is if you get, we are what we eat, and we are what we eat eats. So if the cows are eating healthy, then it actually gets into their meat, and then what we eat is healthy, right? So beef cattle, they take the nutrition, put it into the meat. A milk cow will take the nutrition from the feed that they're eating and put it into milk production. But that's kind of how cattle's stomachs work and their digestive system. Now, our nutritionist was able to put together the feed programs that we have options on that give us that spectrum of, leaner or more marbled. And the breeds also have an effect on that as well. But it's a lot of fun to have a facility like this and to store feed and buy in bulk from local farmers. So our first one is actually in this bay here is cottonseed hulls. If you guys want, you can walk in there and grab a handful if you kids want to feel it. It's actually cottonseed hulls. Now, like a whole cottonseed, once it's fractured and the seed's pulled out, that's the hull that's left over. And it feels kind of soft. And it's like a fiber for the cows, which actually helps hold the feed together as it digests, and it helps the cattle have good fiber and good digestion.
Like feels like fabric.
Do you have separate grades of this?
So we have, we buy in bulk, and so we have enough for, a few months worth, and then we'll go and buy again. Now, depending on which gin that we end up, there's not that many as there used to be back in the day, but depending on which gin we buy from, yes, we're able to go through and pick and get, that same quality that's consistent for a longer period. All right, and then this next bin right here is actually our corn. Now, what's cool about buying corn locally like this too, there's 3 different elevators. There's the Honey Grove and the Sulphur Springs and the Paris elevator. But we actually, when we get our corn, instead of feeding whole corn, we have it roll milled. So it's cracked and fractured, makes it easily digestible. You don't have to feed as much to the cows. But corn is really important because the starch in there gives them like the carb energy to grow. What most people don't realize is if you take a cow and just throw it out into the pasture, the only nutrients it has available to grow is whatever grew on that pasture. Well, before, when cows could roam thousands of acres, they would get the wheat kernel, they would get all the different things that they would need to grow. But now that, unfortunately we can't let them graze on all the ground they used to be able to, and really the soil's depleted. It doesn't grow the way it used to anymore. So putting all this stuff together, our cotton hulls, our corn roll milled, we have alfalfa here, and you'll see the other ones in a second, but putting all these together for the cows is really important for their health. The other thing too, this carb energy to grow, if you would just take a cow like a deer, and just let it eat whatever grass it could eat, it would, 2-3 years before it gets to size. It'll actually stunt their growth because it doesn't have enough nutrition for them to be healthy and grow. So, unfortunately, it ain't the way it used to be. The soil ain't what it used to be. But so it's a lot of fun to buy from local farmers and local growers and put all this back together to get the nutrition that their cows are supposed to have. So this next bin right here is actually our alfalfa hay. And anyone around horses or been on a horse ranch or anything? Alfalfa hay is not a beef feed. It's actually a horse feed, usually. But mostly because of the expense and the high nutrition value for like racehorses and whatnot. But feeding it to beef cows, a lot of the locals think we're crazy to spend this kind of money on beef cows. But it's really high in protein. It's got excellent omega-3 quality, and it's just a really good feed to have for the cows. Now, cows aren't, they don't find bales of hay out in the wild, right? But you don't want them to get a huge mouthful of just alfalfa hay or to eat only alfalfa, because it actually would hurt their gut and their, their gut health. So we actually mix everything together in the tractor that we'll see in a second. Sean, do you mind explaining, like when we mix it and what difference that makes?
So
right here, this is our mixed ration. So we have 3 different rations you can pick when you order your steer. You know, we have more of a grass-based ration, and then we have a hardcore grain-based ration, which creates a lot of fat and marbling on your steer if you like that. And then this is a mix. It's kind of my personal favorite. It's the one in the middle of the grass and the grain. But basically, I have recipes I follow, and it's all done by weight. There's a scale on that mixer box, and I put X amount of pounds of each ingredient, and all the rations we offer have all the ingredients just at different percentages. So what happens then is it mixes everything together, and there's knives in there, and it cuts up the hay. So when cattle go to take a bite of this, they're going to get a mouthful of all the ingredients, and it's going to be consistent. We don't want them getting a big mouthful of hay and then a big mouthful of corn. It'll cause a bunch of stomach problems. It'll stress them. It can cause them to get sick, and they won't grow good. So that's why we do it like this, so we can have the most consistent feed. Every single day I feed at the same time. They get the same ration, and there's the same quality ingredients.
So on this next bin here, we also have some more of our feed ingredients. This one is actually a lot of fun. It's our mineral blend. Our nutritionist put together a custom mineral blend for us for each of the feed programs. And like Sean was saying, we're able to mix all this stuff together into the ration. This also right here, anyone take a flaxseed supplement, right? For omega-3. This stuff, your cow actually gets omega-3 flax fuel supplement also. That's a lot of fun to be able to add to the feed program. It not only adds, you know, the health for the animal, but then obviously it gets into the meat, and then it makes a high omega-3 on the fat of our meat as well. We even do an oil supplement for the cows, not only for their joints. Like a normal size steer would be like, you know, 900 up to 1,100 pounds. We're seeing we're getting bigger and bigger steers. We actually broke our record earlier this year. We got an 1,800 pound steer. So we want to make sure that that thing, when it gets to that size, its joints are healthy. It's got the good mineral to actually be able to support that weight. We want good, healthy beef, and we want to grow them as big as possible because we're not selling by the pound. The cool thing is, like, the bigger the cow gets, the cheaper per pound it would be for you guys, you know. Like we want to grow them as big as we possibly can, and it's or even 900, 1,000 pounds is like a normal size steer, and that's most of the meat that y'all actually have available at the grocery store. And then that's what's so fun about our program is we can grow them bigger. We don't have to do all the same practices. The animal's healthier, and it's a lot of fun. So even our oil supplement that we add to the ration, flax meal, our mineral blend, is all part of our feed program, and they're in all the feed programs too. It's not like, you know, it's one feed program gets it and the other doesn't. The red ones are the limousines, and the white ones are the Charolais. Now you may be wondering, how do we keep them separate? Well, it's actually not by breed, it's by feed program. The way we have our fences and our lanes set up, they have access to the barn and to their feed based on the feed program they're in. Here, we're buying them from local ranchers that raise them up from a calf that, you know, they're getting weaned from mama's milk, and then they come here. So that way, we're not, you know, messing with all the industry practices that make beef not as healthy as it should be, right? So that's a really fun program. The ranchers call us now and they're like, hey, we got some calves coming up. You guys interested in having some, you know, and so we get that pick before they go through the rest of the, and we're actually pulling like some of the, we're like taking prime off of the market locally by bringing them here, and it's a lot of fun to have that program. We're like, it doesn't really matter. The cows don't need a big barn like that. They can use trees or whatever. Well, I promise you, when it's thunderstorming and hailing out, your cow is definitely in here. When it's raining real hard, they're in here. When it's 120 degrees, the cows are in here in the shade. The other reason too is we actually have a water system with these misters. We can turn misters on, and then we turn these fans on as well, get a breeze going. It'll drop at 20, 30 degrees in here. And the cows have an awesome area to hang out and be relaxed and chew their cud and get all that nutrition out of the feed because of their, you know, digestive system, right? Also, when they're laying down and hanging out, we haul in sand from the river on the border. We have sand bedding for them to lay down in and relax. Also, there's a water trough right here too, but this water is not pond water. It's actually county water, but the county, in order to clean the water, they have arsenic and bromine and chlorine and all the water molecule is clean, then the cow doesn't have to fight the digestion, with all that stuff in their system. It would be a shame to feed really high quality feed and have a really high quality breed that we get here and then not have a relaxed environment for the cow to hang out in, because the stress will make them not digest well. Even not eating at the right time, or if the weather gets too extreme on highs and lows, like it messes. They're very routine sensitive, and they're herd animals too. So like you can imagine a feedlot situation when they're packed real tight together, there's more chance of sickness. They can't get out and be a normal cow. They're always getting shuffled around to a new place. This environment, they're raised on a local ranch, they come here and that's it. This is where they live the rest of their lives. So it's a lot of fun to take care of the cows here. You can also see there's cows playing with the brush. Yes, it's a real thing. Cows have a massage brush. And it was so funny because we actually didn't know if it would work. We didn't know if the cows would be able to figure out how to use it. But within a couple hours, the cows were like walking up to it and smelling it. And as soon as they bump into it, it turns on, and they quickly figured out they could stand there, itch and scratch, and they'll stand in line and they'll take a turn for 10, 15 minutes and just sit there and scratch away. Well, programs. There's guys out there that do a lot with their feed programs too. And there's people out there that do lifestyle stuff too. But it actually takes all three of them working together, or you're missing out on some of the benefits of what cattle can actually offer. And the industry is not doing cows a certain, doctors are even having to tell people that stop eating beef because it's unhealthy. Well, it shouldn't be that way. It's because the industry is not set up to do it the way cows are actually able to be fed, taken care of. And you guys have tasted, right? So
the cows sleep in here?
Yeah, the cows
So
sleep.
if they're option to go in
Yeah,
and
they
out,
can-
they're
they-
the ones that roam?
Yeah,
Oh,
they can go out in the field if they want to, but it's a lot more comfortable to sleep on the sand than it is out there in the field. So, but yeah, sometimes they'll sleep. There's a spot out there in the trees. For whatever reason, they've decided that's the cool spot. So it seems like there's always a group that
Yeah, I
hang
saw
out
them
over
over
there. It's the afternoon, so like they're still kind of like hanging out underneath the trees a little bit. Yeah, they'll absolutely use the same day. Us on the load chute there, they actually come walking around through these gates, and they come into this lane over here and go up to the squeeze chute. Now that squeeze chute is where, we can look at them in the pasture when we buy and whatnot, but until they're here, that's when we actually get our hands on them. We can check their ears and their teeth and their feet. We can get up on them and give them a full health check before we cut them loose for the feed program and tag them and all, right? So the other neat thing with this whole setup is every single month, the cows come back through again, which is very important because they're very routine sensitive. They don't like new sights, sounds, and smells, and just anything new gets them all excited and nervous. So getting them used to the routine of coming through here is important. Now, that squeeze chute there is also a certified scale. That's where they get weighed also, and that's how every month, the customer, you guys will all get an email about your cow, what weight it's at, picture, and all that stuff, and that's how we can keep track of it as it grows. Now, and of course we do love the animals, we love taking care of them, but one day this gate right here in front of me opens up, and because they're delicious, they do come. Now this is important though, they come over here into the box, which I think we all know what happens in the box, but it's the same process as normal. They're used to coming through here. They don't know this day is a different, they don't know it's the day they're gonna go to heaven, right? So they actually go into the box, and it's a low stress. The industry has a giant hormone and adrenaline rush that the cow gets real nervous getting shoved into a new facility, and everything's new, and the gates are new, everything smells different. But the cows live here and they're used to this routine already. So bringing them through here into the box, they're just standing there. They don't know it's a different day. And that's really important, because the worst thing you could do is do all that we do to grow a cow and do the best for quality, and then lose a lot of that in adrenaline and hormone and all that stuff. So it's a really neat setup that Sean had put together for all of this. Now, in here is, we'll come inside. It's cold, so I'll try to talk fast so we don't freeze to death.
Oh yeah, baby, it's a little nippy.
This is the kill floor. How many people have been on a butcher shop kill floor before? Is this a normal, smelling, normal butcher shop kill floor? What does it smell like? Does anyone smell anything weird? It smells pretty good in here. So you guys do an awesome job keeping it really clean in here, which is very important for ethical reasons, but also our program too. Most dry agers are, like the size of a fridge freezer, and this entire wall, all the way over to the other side, where we'll end in a minute, is our dry aging facility. Largest in the state of Texas, second largest in America, and it's a lot of fun to have a large dry aging facility this size. But we also dry age for up to 60 days. So the problem is we can't have bacteria and extra, we don't want funk going in there at all. It's a very tight temperature and humidity controlled environment that in Texas, at least we don't have bad weather, but it's actually really hard and really difficult. We have redundancies upon redundancies to keep this thing at a very tight 1.5 degree temperature and a couple percentage points of humidity to dry age for that long. We do not want any bacteria in there, so we have to keep it pretty clean, right? Now that's unique to the industry because the industry is just usually doing like a 24-hour, maybe up to a week, 2 weeks at the most is normal, just on hang time, and we're doing it long enough where we have to be really clean. So we use a brace and a gamble. After the box, the cow comes through, those panels open up, cow comes in, goes up. This integrated rail system goes all the way through the dry ager to the other side. But when the cow goes up, we use a skinning cradle. When the cow's on its back, legs up in the air, and that way we can skin to keep the hide away from the meat. And then as it comes through here, it goes through the store into the dry ager all on the hook, and it will stay on the hook for that 60 days up until we pull it out on the other side, which we'll see in just a minute. Now, we can't walk in the dry ager, but I can open up the door and we can look in there real quick. You don't have to look if you don't want to, but you will see a dry ager and we'll say ABB. So if you want to have a look, we only do 1 cow a day. That's very important too for quality purposes, which I'll talk about on the other side too. But usually on a high volume operation, you get mixing going on. And I don't want mixing going on, so one a day. But we can go ahead and have a look in here real quick. If you want to walk by, just kind of pop your head in real quick.
So is ours due and we're supposed to receive it in November? Is it still aging?
Yep. Some of us almost got away, sorry about that. But this is the last piece that we'll look at here. This whole wall and that door, that goes back into the dry ager where we were on the other side. So what happens is that roller table goes into the dry ager, meat comes down, and then it goes actually up on this hook here, and it forms like a rind on the outside, like cheese will do. It'll get that crust on the outside. We actually peel that off. It is edible, but we actually peel it off. And all the trimmings, there's no waste actually, because everything actually goes to a company that makes dog food. So interestingly enough, that's where all the trimmings go. And then once it comes off of that hook, we bring it over to the bandsaw here, and we actually have an example of one of our cut sheets hanging up. If you have your cut call, what'll end up happening is you go through and you pick your cuts and your thickness and how you want to divide it up. And so we do 1 cow at a time. We don't want to do a high volume, high production setup where we're taking multiple animals and blending them together or none of that stuff. The cow that you get a picture of, the cow that was actually growing on that side, the tag, is the one that's done in here, and then we wash down and do the next one. Just 1 cow at a time. In the packing houses in the industry, they'll do like 6,000 in a day. That's how big the big beef industry is. And so when you're buying a hamburger or like I don't know how many different cows, maybe even different other kinds of animal that are all kind of blended together in our beef nowadays. And so it's really important that we actually have our cut sheets. And then like if you got a quarter of a cow, you don't just get 1 of the quarters of the cow, you get 25% yield of the entire cow. So you get 25% of that cow, not just 1 of the quarters, because different muscle groups make different cuts of steak or whatever goes on. Now in your cut sheet, we'll go through and we'll make the steaks. This is our meat grinder right here. We can do a whole cow's worth of hamburger in about 4 minutes. So we'll make all the hamburger at once from the whole cow, and then we'll go through it and we'll split the portions according, quarter or half, or obviously whole cow into portions. And then in the corner there, we have our vacuum sealer, and we use 4mm bags to vacuum seal everything, and then you see our labels hanging there as well. Every single cut that goes through there will get vacuum sealed, labeled, and then we flash freeze it. That's very important also.
Yeah.
Because usually, like if you even go to a butcher shop and you're buying the meat behind the glass, they're having to refreeze that stuff and pull it back out for the day it doesn't sell. Or as it gets moved from middleman to middleman, it's getting staged before it gets to a grocery store or something like that. Unfortunately, it's frozen and thawed more than once, multiple times even. So we actually freeze everything here right before you guys get it. But what that means is, I actually found some beef earlier this year that had been in the freezer for a little over 2 years. I thawed it out and it tasted just like burgers we had today. Can't tell the difference. We tell like 12, 18 months is what we say without, any challenges, but I've had it up a little over 2 years. It's still fine. So it's a lot of fun to put all the quality. So this is very important, like on the growing side, it's the feed program, it's the way that we buy the breeds and the lifestyle that the cows have that gets the quality of the meat. On this side, our clean kill floor, our dry aging process, and our practices here with how we do our cut sheets and vacuum seal and everything, all that stuff put together is unique to the industry. Like there's not other companies. There's companies that specialize in one piece of that, but not all of it together. And unfortunately, beef isn't what it's supposed to be unless you do all of it together. And so we're really proud of our product and what we have to offer. And we're really excited you guys can come out and see how we're doing what we're doing. And as you guys tasted, it's a big difference. So really appreciate you guys coming out, checking it out. We'll be out there, black shirts, can answer questions. Come find me if I can.
Okay, the black cows are Black Angus. The white ones are Charolais, and the brown ones are Limousin. I think that you recommend.
The Charolais on the mixed feed, which will give you about an 85-15, which means the marbling is going to be kind of right, just a medium. You'll have tenderness and taste, but not a lot of excess marbling and fat. Your cow is going to be 225 pounds on average.
Okay.
Hanging weight. So again, I've had multiple quarter cows. They've differed, but they've all been that 225 average.
Yeah.
Again, most families look to stock up for that 12-month kind of year bulk package. Yeah. So that would give, if we equate that to a monthly amount, that'd be about 19 to 20 pounds of beef per month. If you were eating it over a 12-month period, which if you guys are pairing it with another couple or household, it'd give you both about 10 pounds of beef per month.
Yeah.
So maybe a place to start. Now the half cow, of course, double the meat, 450 pounds on average. So that's going to be 38 to 40 pounds of beef per month, which would give you each household about a 19 to 20 pound average.
How often would they give you eating that? You said 20 pounds or 10 pounds.
So 20 pounds a month is going to be about 5 pounds of beef a week that you would eat.
See, she doesn't eat chicken anymore at all.
I don't. I eat just beef and fish now. And I used to be a big chicken person.
Yeah.
With the omega-3s, I know how I feel from this clean protein. I even, like with my performance, with what I do in CrossFit, and I'm no competitor for, Gladiator by any means, but I do enjoy it. And I've been really happy with how I feel because we all know food is fuel. So
His son is in
has,
CrossFit.
yeah, so it has proven to me over the years of me eating designer beef that it's just, with the omega-3s, inflammation, like I've gone down in ring sizes. That's the only thing in my family is arthritis. And my grandma, I'm not that old, but I'm getting older, and I started just my knuckles, and literally this will not allow for that inflammation. Because I would eat a lot of protein.
That's
so
important.
I've gone down in ring sizes and just don't have the issues, or I would say the starting issues of kind of that arthritic trend.
So what would you say how do you plan the mix of cuts?
So that's the great thing is we're gonna, if you guys were to get an order going from the time you order, it's gonna be about a 5-month window, and you're gonna receive a cut call probably from Braden. He does the processing, and he's gonna walk you through, okay, how thick do you want your steaks? Do you want an inch thick, inch and a half, 2 inches thick? He'll talk about every family or household likes certain cuts more or less. Maybe you don't want any beef shank or ossobuco. Maybe you want that hamburger. You know what I mean? Maybe you want roast. Maybe you don't. So we'll walk you through that. And again, it's an education. And then we finish that cut list. And then they process it. And then it's either, we figure out how to get it to y'all, or Ed and Ashley do, or y'all come this way.
Yeah.